So my next goals, what are they? So we've got two. Pretty much in exactly a month from now, we've got a 10k race around Snetterton racetrack. The idea or the hope is to get it under sub 40. As we can see, we did a 5k test run on one of the last videos, and we were coming in about 18:36, I think it was, or 33. So it's a good base point. Obviously, we've now got to sort of train to be able to do that sort of twice in a row. But I think with the long runs that we've just been doing over the last couple of months, like holding out for a 10k shouldn't be a lot bad, and to get it sort of under the 40, I think will be okay. And then the other sort of goal that we're trying to do is to get in and around about 75 kg in terms of weight by that point. So the date today is currently the 1st of July. The race is on, I've got it written down here, the 31st of July. So we're currently at just shy of 80 kilograms, we're about 79 kg at the minute. So essentially I've got to drop a kilogram per week for the next 4 weeks, which shouldn't be a problem to do. Now the only caveat to that is as of next weekend, I'm in Newcastle for my brother's graduation. I'm there for 2 nights, so it's going to be a bit of a heavy weekend, drink-wise, food-wise, just sort of celebrating him being finished with uni. So that's going to be the only sort of iffy mark of it over this next month. But yeah, they're my next 2 goals for this month. In terms of road races so far this year, we did a 10k race at the start of May. It was the Gear 10k in Kings Lynn. We got in at a time within 43 minutes 13 seconds. That was a hot day on a Sunday, and I must admit, even by about kilometre 4, that heat and just that adrenaline from doing a race did sort of wipe me out for sort of the remainder of it before I got my second wind. To be fair as well, prior to that race in May, we were nursing a couple of injuries, so I didn't get a proper sort of training block in over sort of the 4 weeks prior to that, which I think if we did have a proper thing, I think we would have been sort of a bit close to that 40 mark. I don't think I would have beaten it or gotten to it, but I think we would have been certainly quite close. And then the race before that, which I'd done, was the Rutland Half Marathon. That was about the first week of April in some awful conditions. That was cold, wet, and so windy. And if anyone's ever been to Rutland or knows of Rutland, when that sort of wind comes off the water, it was brutal. It was just running into like mud basically, and you just pounding. It was just sort of pulling your back all the time, and the hills, it was just like this undulating, and there was, it was like road, it was track, parts of it were like muddy, some of it you was hopping over like puddles and then cow grids. So it wasn't the most enjoyable. We got in, I think it was a 1 hour 43 on that, which wasn't too happy about, but with the conditions of the weather and that, it was sort of one of those things where it's like, it's respectable. So the only 2 races this year. Again, both of them either haven't felt fantastic in terms of like my body and sort of injuries, and then haven't been fantastic in terms of weather conditions. Obviously, don't want to be using those as an excuse, but as anyone knows who signed up for running races, when you've just sort of trained hard and you want to get a certain time, it can be a bit demoralising, sort of not being able to perform as sort of what you sort of can normally do in training, especially when you're not injured. So in terms of this 10k in Snetterton racetrack, we're going to be taking this next month really serious in terms of running, proper recovery, ice packs, protein, cold showers, stretching, warm-ups, doing the full works to make sure the body will be in tip-top condition. Again, I think I mentioned in one of the last videos, the run's actually on a Wednesday evening at 6:50, I think it starts. So obviously being summer, hopefully by 6:50 it will have cooled down. Also likelihood being that there's probably not going to be much wind, and fingers crossed, no rain. So hopefully everything should be on my side in terms of being able to get sort of the time that I want. But what we're going to be doing in terms of that 10K is quite a few interval sessions, which I don't always usually do. I only do it when I'm training for something. We're going to be doing a lot of tempo runs as well. And then as per usual, always sort of on the Fridays and Saturdays, depending on which week it is, doing our long runs. So looking at probably doing about 40 to 50 kilometers a week average. I know for a lot of people say, oh, you need to be doing more like 40 to 50 miles a week, but my sort of body, my hip, and just sort of my general motivation is, it's just not for me doing that sort of distance. My aim is obviously just to lose sort of 4 or 5 kilograms. I'll be a lot lighter on my feet, like how I used to be sort of about 4 or 5 years ago, and so getting that time shouldn't be sort of too hard. I know if you want to get, your 60-minute 5Ks, your 35-minute 10Ks, then yeah, I'm going to have to up the mileage, but that isn't all it is for me. I purely like running just for the enjoyment of it, getting out, sort of clear your headspace, be fit, be healthy. To me, running a 5K or a 10K sort of that much quicker, just there's no need to be doing that extra sort of 30, 40 kilometers a week on your feet. It's just going to ask for me anyway, just injuries and problems, which I do not want to be really dealing with, because it means that I just can't run them for prolonged amounts of time. So not worth it in my aspect. Obviously, if that's how you want to run and what you want to do and get better, go for it. But everyone obviously has their own preferences to running. But yeah, I think what I'll also do, sort of up on the screen as we've gone through this video, maybe even now somewhere, there'll be sort of some Strava uploads just of some interval sessions, tempo sessions, some long runs. So if you are training perhaps for a 10K as well as me, feel free to sort of pause the video and screenshot the long runs. To be fair, what I'll also probably do is I will bring you through on one of the runs with me, maybe just a tempo, just so you can sort of see how I usually train, with a sort of 10K race in mind. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll probably put in a sort of running session now that will follow behind it. I'll talk you through that session, and then yeah, you can use that as a bit of inspiration for yourself, and obviously then the times that you want to be hitting for a 10K. But other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Hi guys, so it's a different day from when that previous clip was, but we said we're going to bring you on just for an interval session. So I'm currently doing my 2K warm-up. So the plan is, after 2K warm-up, we've got 2.5K at a sub 4:30 pace. We're then doing a 1K float about the 5:30 kilometer mark. Once that 1K is done, we're then going to 2 kilometers at a 4:10 minute a kilometer pace or under. 1K float again at 5:30, and then we have 1.5 kilometer at a sub 4 minute a kilometer pace. Again, repeat. 1 kilometer float about 5 minutes 30 kilometer pace, and then a 2K cool down. Maybe a 2K cool down, we'll see. Normally 1K will probably be enough, but it should be what's that going to be? 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Should be about 12 or 13 kilometers all in. It's just helping to build up both stamina and speed by getting quicker as the run goes on longer. That last 1.5 kilometers is going to be a tough one, especially after already doing like, so going to be nearly 7 or 8 kilometers before that. But going to be a good session. I'm going to put you in my pocket, and I'll catch up with you when we're on the float, just to see how we're getting on. And I'm also currently in the Hoka Arahi 6s today. Nowhere near as bouncy as the New Balance, but there we go, we'll still get it done. Okay, so that is round 1 done. I think in the end it's about 4:32 average. But it's so hard to tell on this Apple Watch, especially when you don't deal in, 1Ks, 2Ks, 3Ks, when you start doing it in 0.5s, it makes it so hard to judge, just because it's coming off the other 30 seconds sort of prior to it. But I must admit, the first kilometre of that didn't feel great. The last sort of 1.5 didn't feel too bad, felt alright. But now on the float, so I got, I said, another for 0.7 kilometres at this pace to try and keep sort of the heart rate down. And then of course after this we've got the 2K one. Currently running through Sandringham at the minute. Did just have, to be fair, a bit of a slow incline, which maybe didn't help the 4:30 pace, but there we go. Try and get my breathing down before we get ready for the next 2K. There we go then. So now doing my cool down. I've got about 1.5 kilometres left, if that. But we'll just let you know how that last bit went. So the 2K went fine. Then had that float, and I'll be honest, I think I went too fast on the float, because that supposedly 1.5, within about 500 metres, all my abdomen area just fully cramped and seized up. I was literally in agony. I managed to push, didn't get anywhere near the pace that I wanted, and at 1 kilometre I just called it. I literally thought I was going to be sick. So I was just doing the float, I did the float. Now just on this little cool down, but to be fair, that's still just killing my abs, like I'm pulling muscles across the whole of my stomach. So going really quite slow now, just trying to get some air in, because yeah, it's super uncomfortable. But all in all, that is one of the interval sessions that I like to do, because not only are you doing like 12-13k, you're doing about 6.5 kilometres of it at what would be my desirable 10k pace. So it's a perfect session. I won't do another interval one now, probably till next week, just because they do just tax your body and your legs just so much. They're definitely the hardest workout. But yeah, give that one a go, and let me know how you get on.